The apartment feels different at 2 in the morning. Everything looks the same, but nothing feels right. The couch where we used to watch movies every Friday night sits empty. The kitchen where he made me breakfast every single morning for 5 years is silent. I keep expecting to hear his key in the lock, see his smile when he walks through the door. But that's never going to happen again because I destroyed everything for absolutely nothing. I'm 32 years old and sleeping on my sister's pull-out couch in Columbus, Ohio. 2 months ago, I had a beautiful apartment in the nice part of town, a boyfriend who adored me, and a future that seemed so certain I took it for granted. Now I have 3 cardboard boxes of belongings and a phone that never rings, except for debt collectors. The credit card companies started calling last week. Turns out Ryan had been paying my minimums for the past 2 years without ever mentioning it. Another $4,300 in debt I didn't even know about. My sister laughs bitterly when I tell her. "Of course you didn't know," Jessica says. "You never paid attention to anything real. Just floated through life while Ryan handled everything." She's right, I can see that now. Ryan paid the bills, balanced the budget, made sure we had savings. I just assumed money appeared in the checking account. I spent freely on clothes and brunches with friends, never asking where the money came from or if we could afford it. He never complained, just quietly made it work. It started during my internship at the marketing firm downtown. After 5 years with Ryan, everything felt so predictable. Every Friday was movie night. Every Saturday morning was the farmer's market. Every Sunday was brunch at the same place where they knew our order before we even sat down. He'd wake up at 5:30 every morning to make me coffee and pack my lunch before starting his own 12-hour shift as a physician assistant at the hospital. I was bored, that's the truth of it. Bored of the stability, bored of knowing exactly what my life would look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Ryan had our whole future mapped out. He'd shown me the ring he was saving for, hidden in his sock drawer like I wouldn't find it. A simple solitaire, exactly what I'd pointed out 3 years ago. He remembered everything. The internship was supposed to be my big break into marketing. Finally, at 32, I was going to have a real career instead of bouncing between retail jobs. Ryan had supported me through 2 years of online classes, paying most of our bills so I could focus on school. He never complained, just kept saying how proud he was. Daniel started the same day I did. He was 28, fresh from grad school, with this confidence that made everyone in the office pay attention when he walked in. He wore expensive suits and always smelled like cologne that probably cost more than I made in a week. During our first team meeting, he sat next to me and whispered jokes about our boss's terrible presentation skills. I laughed harder than I had in months. "You've got a great laugh," he said after the meeting. "Coffee?" I should have said no. I was wearing the promise ring Ryan had given me for our 3rd anniversary, but coffee seemed harmless. Just 2 co-workers getting to know each other. Coffee turned into lunches. Lunches turned into after-work drinks. He'd tell me about his travels through Europe, the concerts he'd been to, the restaurants he wanted to try. Everything sounded so exciting compared to my predictable life with Ryan. "You're too young to be so settled," Daniel said one night after our 3rd drink. "When's the last time you did something spontaneous?" I couldn't remember. With Ryan, everything was planned. Vacations booked months in advance to get the best deals. Dinner reservations made a week ahead. Even our sex life had fallen into a routine. Tuesdays and Saturdays, usually right before bed. The same position, the same duration. "He sounds more like your dad than your boyfriend," Daniel laughed when I mentioned our Friday night tradition. "Don't you want more?" I did want more. I wanted excitement and passion and uncertainty. I wanted to feel the way I did when Daniel looked at me like I was the only person in the room. What I didn't tell Daniel was that Ryan had tried to be spontaneous. Just last month, he'd surprised me with tickets to a concert for a band I'd mentioned once, but I'd been annoyed because I'd already made plans with my friends. He'd apologized and sold the tickets at a loss. The month before that, he'd tried to spice things up in the bedroom, buying lingerie and candles. I'd laughed at him, calling it cheesy. He hadn't tried again. "My ex was like that," Daniel continued. ordering us another round without asking if I wanted one. Always needed to know where I was, what I was doing. Suffocating. That's why I keep things light now. No strings, no drama, just fun. I should have heard the warning in those words, should have recognized the red flags, but all I heard was someone who understood how trapped I felt, someone who saw me as more than just half of Ryan and Mallory, the boring couple who'd been together forever. The first time we kissed was 3 weeks into the internship. We were working late on a presentation, the office empty except for us. He leaned over to point something out on my screen, and I turned at the wrong moment. Or the right moment, depending on how you look at it. Our faces were inches apart. "I shouldn't," I whispered. "But you want to," he whispered back. He was right. I wanted to more than I'd wanted anything in years. The kiss was electric, nothing like the comfortable pecks Ryan and I exchanged. This was heat and want, and wrong in all the right ways. We went back to his apartment that night. I told Ryan I was staying late for a team building event. He texted back that he'd left dinner in the fridge for me, that he loved me, that he hoped I was having fun with my new coworkers. Each word felt like a knife, but not enough to stop me. The sex was everything I'd been missing. Passionate, urgent, selfish in the best way. Daniel didn't care about my pleasure the way Ryan always had, making sure I finished first every single time. This was about taking what we wanted from each other. It felt dangerous and adult, and nothing like my safe, boring life. I got home at 3 a.m. Ryan was asleep, curled up on his side of the bed, my side still perfectly made like he'd been waiting for me. I stood in the doorway watching him sleep, this man who'd loved me faithfully for 5 years, who'd never given me a single reason to doubt him. I felt sick. The next day, Daniel acted like nothing had happened. Polite, professional, friendly, but distant. I spent my lunch break crying in my car. That night, Ryan made my favorite dinner and asked about the team building event. I made up elaborate lies about trust falls and personality tests. "I'm so glad you're making friends," he said, kissing my forehead. "You deserve to be happy." 2 days later, Daniel suggested drinks again. I said yes. We ended up at his apartment again. This became our pattern for 2 weeks. Professional during the day, sneaking around at night. I became an expert at lying, at deleting texts, at explaining why I was so tired all the time. "Maybe we should tell people," I said one night, wrapped in his expensive sheets. I could end things with Ryan. We could be together for real. Daniel laughed. Actually laughed. "You're sweet," he said, lighting a cigarette even though he knew I hated the smell. "But this is just fun, right?" "I'm not looking for anything serious. I thought you knew that." I felt stupid. So incredibly stupid. Of course he wasn't looking for anything serious. Guys who looked like Daniel didn't settle down with women like me. I was just another conquest, a bored girlfriend looking for excitement. I went home that night and found Ryan awake, sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop. "Hey," he said, his face lighting up when he saw me. "Perfect timing." I was just looking at houses. I know we said we'd wait another year, but the market is really good right now, and I think we could afford something small if we're careful with the budget. He turned the laptop toward me, showing me a little craftsman house with a front porch and a yard big enough for the kids we'd talked about having. "What do you think?" he asked, so hopeful, so trusting. I think that's when I decided to tell him. Not out of guilt or love or wanting to do the right thing. I told him because I wanted to hurt him the way Daniel had hurt me. I wanted someone else to feel as stupid and worthless as I did. "I've been sleeping with someone from work," I said, the words coming out flat and emotionless. His face went through so many changes, confusion, disbelief, understanding, and finally, a kind of blankness that was worse than anger would have been. "Oh," he said, "just that. Oh." "It's been going on for 2 weeks," I continued, needing to fill the silence. "But it's over now." He didn't want anything serious. "I was going to end things with you anyway after my internship ended. I wasn't sure about our future. Even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. I'd been perfectly sure about our future until Daniel made me question everything. But I needed Ryan to think this had been coming for a while, that it wasn't just about sex with a random coworker. "You should be glad it was only him," I added, the cruelest words I've ever spoken. I haven't even seen him since. It could have been worse. Ryan stared at me for the longest time. Then he closed his laptop, stood up, and walked to our bedroom. I heard drawers opening and closing. 20 minutes later, he came out with a duffel bag. "I'll come back for the rest of my things when you're at work," he said. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "Don't contact me." "Ryan, wait," I said, suddenly panicking. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to fight for us, to be angry, to give me a reason to leave. "We can work through this. I'll do whatever it takes. Counseling, whatever you want." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the love he had for me just vanish from his eyes. "I loved you," he said. "I was going to propose next month on our anniversary." "Your sister helped me plan it. I've been saving for 2 years to get you the exact ring you wanted. I thought we were building something." "We were," I said, tears streaming down my face. "We can still build it. Please, Ryan, don't leave." He shook his head slowly. "You just told me you were planning to leave me anyway. You just said I should be grateful you only cheated once. Do you even hear yourself?" I did hear myself. And for the first time I heard how cruel I sounded, how entitled, how completely without empathy for the man I'd claimed to love. "I have patients at 7 tomorrow morning," he said, heading for the door. "People who actually need me. People who won't throw my care back in my face." He walked out, and that was the last time I saw him. I called in sick to work the next day, and the day after that. By the third day, my supervisor called to inform me that my internship was being terminated for violation of company policy regarding workplace relationships. Turns out Daniel had gone straight to HR and reported our inappropriate relationship the moment I suggested we could be a real couple, painting himself as the victim to save his own career. Within a week, I'd lost everything. Ryan had removed me from our joint accounts, as was his right since he'd been the only one contributing. The apartment was in his name. My car was in his name because my credit had been shot when we met and he'd co-signed for me. I had nothing. The morning I went to get my car, it was gone. I called Ryan in a panic, breaking the no-contact rule. "I had it repossessed," he said, his voice cold and unfamiliar. "I've been making the payments for 3 years. You never even paid for gas." "How am I supposed to get to work?" I screamed into the phone. "That's not my problem anymore," he said, "but I wouldn't worry about it." HR called me yesterday. Apparently your coworker filed a complaint about you harassing him. Said you wouldn't accept that it was over. My blood ran cold. That's not true. He's lying. "I don't care," Ryan said, "but they wanted to verify your employment history. I told them the truth, that I'd been supporting you completely, that you'd never held a job longer than 6 months, that the only reason you got the internship was because my colleague's wife worked there and put in a good word." "Why would you tell them that?" I whispered. "Because it's the truth," he said. "Something you might want to try sometime." He hung up. When I called the office, they confirmed my internship had been terminated effective immediately. I moved in with my sister Jessica in Columbus. She didn't even try to hide her disgust. "Ryan called me," she said as she showed me to her couch, crying. "Do you understand what you threw away? That man worshipped you." I understood. God, I understood. Every morning I woke up expecting to smell coffee brewing, to see a lunch packed with a little note. Every night I reached for him in bed and found empty space. I'd scroll through my phone looking at 5 years of photos, 5 years of inside jokes and shared memories and plans for a future I'd destroyed. Social media made everything worse. Ryan had blocked me on everything, but mutual friends kept me updated whether I wanted to know or not. He'd moved back home to Cleveland. He was focusing on work. He'd joined a hiking group. Then, 3 weeks ago, the update that broke me. Ryan was dating someone new, a pediatric nurse from his hospital. Someone age-appropriate and stable and deserving of him. "She's perfect for him," our mutual friend Lisa told me over coffee, not even trying to spare my feelings. "They have so much in common." She loves those old movies he's always watching. Did you know she makes him lunch now? He was showing everyone these elaborate bento boxes she creates. It's adorable. Bento boxes. I'd made him peanut butter and jelly most days if I remembered at all. "He seems really happy," Lisa continued. "Like genuinely happy. Not just going through the motions. Sarah says she's never seen him smile so much." "How long have they been together?" I managed to ask. "About 6 weeks, but honestly, Mallory, everyone at the hospital has been trying to set them up for years. She's had a thing for him forever, but he was always talking about you. Now that he's available." Lisa shrugged. "She actually appreciates him." "Did you know she goes to all his volleyball games? Sits in the stands cheering? You never went to a single one in 5 years." She was right. Ryan played in a recreational volleyball league every Thursday. He'd asked me to come watch so many times in the beginning, but I always had something better to do. Eventually, he stopped asking. "And get this," Lisa leaned in, twisting the knife deeper. "She's already met his parents. They love her. His mom told my mom that she's exactly what Ryan deserves after everything he's been through. Everything he'd been through. Like I was some natural disaster that had happened to him. Sarah. The new girlfriend's name was Sarah. Such a normal, stable name. She probably had her life together. She probably appreciated what she had." I excused myself to throw up in the restaurant bathroom. My days now follow their own terrible routine. I wake up on Jessica's couch with a sore back. I apply for jobs on my laptop, the cheap one I bought with my last paycheck because Ryan had given me my old one and I couldn't stand to use it. I get rejection after rejection. Turns out being fired from an internship for an inappropriate relationship doesn't look great on a resume. Around noon, I check social media even though I know I shouldn't. I search for updates about Ryan, torture myself with possibilities. Is he thinking about me at all? Does he miss anything about our life together? In the afternoons, I walk around Jessica's neighborhood because I can't afford gas for unnecessary driving. I pass families in their front yards, couples holding hands, people living the life I threw away. Sometimes I create elaborate fantasies where Ryan shows up, where he forgives me, where we start over. But even in my fantasies, I can't imagine why he would. Evenings are the worst. That's when the weight of what I've done really hits. 5 years. I threw away 5 years for 3 weeks of excitement that meant nothing. Ryan used to say I was his whole world. I couldn't even let him be my whole zip code. I've started writing him letters I'll never send. Pages and pages of apologies and explanations and promises to be better. But what's the point? I made my choice. I decided that the safety and love he offered weren't enough. I wanted passion and danger, and look where it got me. Last week, I broke down and wrote him an email. I poured everything out, how sorry I was, how stupid I'd been, how I'd do anything for another chance. I promised I'd go to therapy, I'd be grateful, I'd never take him for granted again. I sat with my finger on the send button for an hour before Jessica caught me. "Don't you dare," she said, slamming my laptop shut. "You've done enough damage." "Let him be happy." "But what if he still loves me?" I whispered. "Then you should love him enough to leave him alone," she said. "For once in your life, think about what's best for someone else." She was right, of course. But that night I created a fake social media account just to see his pictures. There he was with Sarah at a farmer's market. Our farmer's market. She was laughing at something he'd said, looking at him the way I used to in the beginning. He had his arm around her, protective and proud. In another photo, they were cooking together in what must be her apartment. She was teaching him to make something complicated looking while he watched her with complete adoration. The caption read, "Teaching this one how to make proper ramen. He's a quick learner." I zoomed in on his face. He looked younger somehow. The stress lines that had appeared over our last year together were gone. His smile reached his eyes in a way it hadn't in months with me. He looked free. Jessica says I need therapy. She's probably right, but therapy costs money I don't have. And honestly, what would I say? That I had a good man who loved me and I threw it away because I was bored? That I deliberately hurt him in the cruelest way possible because my ego was bruised? That I'm 32 years old and starting over with nothing because I couldn't appreciate what I had? The worst part is the details I remember at random moments. The way Ryan used to trace circles on my back when I couldn't sleep. How he'd buy my favorite ice cream whenever I had a bad day, even if I hadn't told him it was bad. The way he looked at me like I was something precious, something worth protecting. He treated me like a baby, I used to complain to Daniel. Like I was fragile. "That's because he loved you, you idiot," Jessica said last week when I made the mistake of saying it out loud. "He treated you like you were precious because to him you were." Daniel moved on immediately, of course. I heard through former co-workers that he's dating an intern from a different department. 23 years old, fresh out of college, probably thinks he hung the moon. I wonder if he'll destroy her life too, or if she's smarter than I was. Sometimes I do the math. If I hadn't cheated, Ryan and I would be engaged by now, planning a wedding, looking at houses, talking about kids. Instead, he's hiking with Sarah, the pediatric nurse, while I'm applying for minimum wage jobs and sleeping on a pull-out couch. I keep thinking about our last conversation, how I justified my cheating, how I told him he should be grateful it wasn't worse. What kind of person says that? What kind of person takes someone's love and trust and throws it back in their face like that? The kind of person who ends up exactly where I am now. My phone rings sometimes and my heart stops, thinking it might be him. It never is. It's always spam calls or debt collectors, or Jessica checking to make sure I haven't done anything stupid. Ryan kept his word. No contact. Not even to get his things. He left everything we'd built together like it was contaminated. I found out last week that he'd donated all our furniture to charity. The couch we'd saved up for together, the dining table we'd bought at an estate sale, the bed where we'd spent lazy Sunday mornings. All gone. Like our relationship never existed. "He's erasing you," Jessica said when I cried about it. And honestly, I don't blame him. Neither do I. If I could erase myself, I would. The internship was supposed to be my fresh start, my big break. Instead, it broke everything. I gained 3 weeks of feeling desired and lost 5 years of being loved. I got excitement and passion and lost stability and trust. I felt alive for 21 days and killed everything that mattered. Ryan's moving on. He's happy. He's found someone who appreciates him, who sees what I couldn't see until it was gone. Someone who won't get bored of his stability, who won't throw away his love for a few weeks of adventure. I'm stuck. Stuck in Columbus, stuck on this couch, stuck in the consequences of my choices. Every morning I wake up and remember what I did. Every night I go to sleep knowing I deserve this. My therapist, when I can finally afford one, will probably say I need to forgive myself, that everyone makes mistakes, that I can learn and grow and become better. But some mistakes are too big for forgiveness. Some choices destroy too much. I had a man who made me coffee every morning, who packed my lunch, who planned a future with me, who loved me exactly as I was. I traded him for a man who couldn't even remember my last name after he was done with me. 2 months since I destroyed everything. 61 days of waking up to what I've done. 8.5 weeks of existing in the wreckage of my choices. Ryan's building a new life with someone who deserves him. I'm building nothing. Just surviving day by day in the ruins of what used to be my life. And the worst part? I have no one to blame but myself. I was the villain in my own love story, The problem I refused to see. And now I'm exactly where villains end up. Alone, forgotten, living with the consequences of their cruelty while watching their victims thrive without them. This is what I earned. This is what I deserve. This couch, this regret, this empty future. I had 5 years of real love and I threw it away for 3 weeks of fake passion. 2 months since I lost everything. A lifetime left to regret it.